So I joined Kore about 18 months ago, just to give my background. I led software product management teams at Zebra and Motorola in the past. Been in the software space, primarily in the OpenCV, machine learning. This is what I've done. And I've joined Kore about 18 months ago to kind of drive us into solutions, various solutions in various verticals, where we're looking at how do you productize AI? That is what our kind of mission is. And this is one of the solutions we build, which is called Bank Assist. And I'm going to go through the solutions instead of Bank Assist. What solutions are applicable for you for a bank, a small bank? So that is what I'm going to show. Any questions? There is no forum. Just raise your hand, ask any question anytime you have. I'll pause and answer any question. Just make it informal. Technology. Okay. Can everybody see the screen? I wish it's a bit better than this, but I'll go through what is here. So I think you saw the stack. So what you saw in the morning is like a huge stack. Now you see a simplified stack, right? So what we do is we take our platform. You can see the analytics, integrations, and platform. So the XO platform you saw earlier today, or it could also be Gale, depending upon what we're doing. So we are building solutions on top of a platform so that you don't have to go and build it and do the software lifecycle management, add integrations, as workflows, all of that. So we do all of these things, and that's why we call them pre-built solutions for a specific industry. In this case, we're talking about what can we do for a bank. That's basically what we're here for. So the first one obviously is who are the personas that actually be interested in this technology. The first one is consumers themselves, right? Most of you heard all the big banks talked about, Erica, somebody talked about, voice assistant on their apps. It's literally called conversational banking. And this is the persona that's looking at how do I do transactions using voice, whether I pick up a phone, call somebody, can I use my smartphone, talk to a chatbot or talk to a voice bot in the app and do the transactions. And that is basically where they're looking at. Underneath that, you can see there is a chatbot we talked about. We can also do search. What do people come to your website for? They're either looking for information on your product, services, they have a question about something, so you can go and ask a question there. So earlier, search is all about providing results. Now it's getting into answers, which is what Search AI is, rather than the search engine. Instead of giving you results, it's giving answers. You don't need to go waste time which one is the right answer. So it's giving you the answer. That's what Search AI is. Then you have Contact Center AI, which is about, it's not just enabling consumers, but also you have to enable your agents. What did the consumer talk about with the bot so far? When the call comes to them, they know the entire context. Right? They're not asking what's your name. Don't go back and ask the same question I already answered to annoy further customers. So this is where the consumer experience gets better when you use the contact center AI, where you're enabling people that are picking phone calls with the intelligence and what has happened between the consumer and the bot, and what do they need, and the bot on the back end is actually doing the work so that you don't need to leave your screen. So you're in the screen, doing what you need to do, and the bot will do all the back-end work for you as an agent. So I don't need to go look for some document, hey, hold on the line, I go look for the answer. Everything is there, all they need to do is read what it is telling them, which is what we call agent AI, which is kind of part of the next thing, which is the contact center agents. We're enabling the contact center agents to provide all of that. So the tellers, so for example, not everybody calls, they go to the bank because, especially in credit unions, in the community space, people come to the bank, they want to talk to people. So when they want to talk to people, how are you enabling the tellers with the information they need so that they're not going to call their manager to find an answer? So they have all the answers they need. What is the rate of interest today, as an example, right? People ask these questions when they come to the bank. So you can use Search AI and Agent AI. So what you have in the contact center there with an Agent AI, so there it's listening to the conversation. It's a conversation on a chat or on a voice, whereas on the teller side, it's a chatbot for employees, the tellers. So they can ask any question to the bot the customers are asking for, and it'll give an answer to them. They just read out that answer to the consumer. So that is what we're talking about, the tellers. The last one is employees. So people that are in the back of the retail side, in the corporate side, what can they do? So they can use Search AI. We talked about EVA today, so Raj talked about EVA. So we are actually integrating all our HR Assist, IT Assist, all the Assist products into one offering called EVA, which essentially is the front end. And you can ask any question, and it will not only answer a question, but also automate things for you. So as you go to HR, for example, the use case is like, I've applied for a mortgage, I need an employment letter. So today it's a discussion with HR, HR goes and writes a letter, it takes a couple of days. Whereas with the automations, you can actually send a letter back to them. All it does is goes and checks their employment records, and automates the whole thing, and it goes to people to approve. Once they approve, the manager approves, the letter goes out. So they can just DocuSign the whole thing, and the whole thing is done automatically. So these are the things we're trying to automate for employees on their day-to-day life. My computer is not working, I need to take an action. So it's not about just opening a ticket, which is what IT Assist, all these tools do, which is all about because they're trying to sell a ticketing system. What we're trying to do is we're automating the whole thing. Like, how do I fix the problem with automations than opening a ticket, then somebody is actually manually doing it. So that is what the last one is all about. So these are the 4 different personas that we're trying to serve within a bank. Any questions? Awesome. So let's double click one by one. So instead of all of this, let me play the video first. Can you all see in the back? So what you just saw was a chatbot interaction, right? But essentially, it may not be a chatbot only. It can be voice enabled within your mobile app. So where I'm instructing it using voice. So essentially, from a demo purposes, we showed, a chatbot chatting. But the same thing can be voice enabled within your Android app or in your Apple app, where I'm actually conversing with it the same way, so that I can actually doing transactions or money transfers like that. But typically, when people open a chatbot, something has already happened. Either it's a wrong thing charged to their credit card, they don't recognize the transaction that happened on a card. So typically that's when people come back, because they can't take action digitally, and they look for ways to go and reach support. So the typical chatbot use cases are those there, people have something happen, they want to reach out. But the technology that we enable can be voice enabled on your apps from a conversational banking perspective. You can look at like, how do I enable an Erica type experience of the big bank? How do I enable that for my own bank? That is how you want to think this technology as, not just only as a chat function. So we're kind of demonstrating as a chat, but this particular one has been trained with 400 plus different use cases, which has, card management. If you have a credit card, you can manage those things. You can do loan management. You can do account management. We're adding more and more use cases on the FAQs. As FAQs you may have about mortgage, any accounts that people have that map to your digital side, we can pull those things, and we're pre-integrated with pretty much every core banking provider, FIS, Jack Henry, Fiserv. On the digital side, we've done Q2. There's a long list of vendors that we already pre-certified on. So we're also going to be in their marketplaces soon. So that way it's easier for you to deploy and manage and run those things. Any questions? Let me go to the next video. This is the experience of an agent. what happens when that interaction that you saw goes to an agent. See the next best action on what to say, how to say. So depending on the mood of the customer, we also have this sentiment analysis now. If the customer is angry, if they're using words, cuss words, you know how angry they are, then the responses from the next best action will say the words to use, the right words to use to pacify the customer. So all you need to do is just read what the bot's telling you. So essentially eliminates training. So you don't need to now waste time putting training people, because all they need to do is day one they can get on the job and start answering customers' questions. So this is an escalation use case where somebody wants to talk to an agent for asking information. So you might have seen in the video when the chat came to the agent, it gave the history, like what happened between the bot and the user, so that I'm not asking the same question, okay, why did you call? You know exactly why you called because it's all given to them. It is connected back to your backing system, so I know who it is. Either it's through their login, if they've logged in already from a chatbot perspective, or if it is telephone, then we use Annie, so that we are not asking them who is this talking, what's your number. The agent knows everything about them, so that you don't need, yes?
So a lot of consumers will call repeatedly for the same, a lot of the consumers will call repeatedly for the same thing over and over. Does the system learn from the history to kind of predict that this member is probably going to ask for those types of things?
So you can enable learning automatically too. So, but in this case, because it's a bot, it doesn't matter how many times you call and ask, it will try to answer the same thing. But does it keep the data? It has the history of everything that happened. So the next time the customer calls, you can also enable the history to go look at it. So you're not just the bot, but also the agent knows this customer called yesterday about certain things. And you can also route to the same agent. Like this, there's all kinds of routing logics that's enabled if this specific customer is calling all the time. So you can route it to the same agent all the time. So you can make all those routing rules as well. Yeah, absolutely. So the beauty here is whatever we have done on the CX side. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I didn't see it.
Thank you so much. So a question regarding it's good to provide them access. It's a big concern regarding security. Would the system and the information that it retains, let's say, would it highlight to the agent, like, hey, this is an unusual request from the partner, seeing that it does take the history? And so, leveraging something like this, how do you protect the end user from like getting hacked, from being an impersonator? Like, what measures of security do you guys take?
So typically, in any banking deployments, it's unwritten rule that you need to validate the consumer multiple times. So we have various techniques that we deploy in validating who is calling. The first one is you look at the ANI on who's called, if it is a telephone call. If it is a chat, you need a login. If they don't log in, I can only answer questions like FAQs, generic things that are not account related. It's anything that anybody can ask that's available publicly in a website are the only ones answered. Only once you log in with your credentials, which goes back to your login system, whether it's core banking, whatever the banking system you use, once they're authenticated, then only actually you go to. So if you have, for example, OTP set up to validate the user with a text message going to them to authenticate. So we'll use all the techniques that you use to protect your account. The way you did on the digital side is the same thing you'll do. There's no difference between enabling a website versus a chatbot. It just uses and follows the same security standards. So on the voice side, it's more. I mean, people have done the biometrics and others, but again, with the deepfakes, we're watching it closely on how do I protect it, because people have asked, can we enable voice biometrics so that they can have a password? Oftentimes, problem is people don't remember what the hell the password was, especially the voice ones, right? So they'll say, I don't know. Eventually, I don't know is the best password, right, in that space. So what happens is, with the deepfakes coming, anybody can make a phone call, record your voice, and simulate that very quickly. So we've been talking to folks like ID R&D and figuring out a solution on how we can make that happen. So they've proposed us, the modulation may change from the first time versus second time. We asked them to read something back. Like Citibanks have done some of these things where they ask you to read back something to make sure your voice modulation is matching, and they compare the first time versus second time. Only AI or recorded ones, if you're recorded, it exactly matches the modulation, right? Because it's recorded. So they try to do these various tactics to protect, but end of the day, even after all of that, I need to send a OTP. The only thing I'm eliminating with that is just knowing who it is, but is this a right person that has access? You need to send the OTP to the registered cell phone number. And only when they enter it, then we give them access, especially on the voice side of the house. Digitally, whatever the process you have on the digital side is what we adopt. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So we're talking about the teller use case now. So as we go to the teller, somebody comes to the teller, asks a question. What you saw is a combination of customer asking questions and a teller asking questions. Essentially what happens is, I'll give you a use case, most of you probably are doing taxes now, it's tax time, right? So if you have an application where employees need help with it, for example, H&R Block, it's one of our customer, so they have tax consultants, they're trying to do something, they have a question, they're stuck somewhere, and they want to ask a question. So in your case, you're filling up an application for somebody as a banker or a teller. People ask questions, right? Hey, what is this? What is that? And you can enable a tool, the same data that you have that you're ingesting for end consumers, you're also enabling it for your own employees as well, so that the banker who's trying to do mortgage or something, some other financial product, or a teller who's on the front desk who's trying to help customers, so they can ask the same question. All they need to do is type the question, just like you can enable it on a Teams channel, so if they use Teams for communication or Google Chat, whatever their channel is. So they can go to that channel and ask a question about anything about your business, then it'll answer every question. All you're doing is ingesting those documents, and we are able to provide. Or we can scrape your website and provide answers, which is what we do at Kore.ai. All we're doing is enabling all of that access that we have done back to a teller, so the teller can ask those questions and be more intelligent. So there's no training needed. You can now ask any teller. Oftentimes when I go to a bank, I don't know the answer, wait for that guy. So all I'm looking for is basic information. Why do I have to wait for somebody? Why can't you answer? So these are the pain points where the Gen Z people will not talk also, right? So they want to know this information quick and handy, otherwise they're going to the next stop. So that's why making yourself digitally savvy is more important to serve the next generation of people that are coming to the banking industry, which is they're all opening bank accounts now. So, and these are the things they're looking for. Okay, the last one is all about employees. So people that are in the back office looking for information. So this can be on a Teams channel if you use Teams or whatever the channel you use for communication. So we're kind of showing a web channel or a mobile channel here. So it can pull from your ServiceNow if you have a ServiceNow. So we can actually pull all of the data from your ServiceNow. So it's kind of tightly integrated with ServiceNows. Whatever ticketing system you have, Zendesk, we integrate with them, look at all the laptops that's available, and then offer that. And it also kicks off approval process. So the manager can approve, IT leaders can approve. Yeah, so what you saw is a kind of a password reset use case, but there is a demo that's going on in the parts. We have the demo part available for Bank Assist, IT Assist, HR Assist, all the Assist products. So I strongly encourage you to go and see the demo, so that way you can play with the tech, you can make a phone call, you can see the system in action rather than a slide deck. So that's why we had a lot of videos here rather than the slides. We believe in showing you the product. So we have people available there. So Peter is there at the booth trying to do demos. So please go talk to him. He'll show you the demo of the entire product on Bank Assist. And we have IT Assist team as well as HR Assist team. So they're doing the demos of all the solutions that I demonstrated to you. Search AI has some of the use cases I demonstrated. These use cases can be relevant to anyone in the industry. So especially in your industry, what we are seeing is adoption across employees heavily. So I'm sure most of you heard the Morgan Stanley story yesterday. So I think if you have not heard, then you'll hear it tomorrow. Sailesh is here, who heads up generative AI at Morgan Stanley. So what they have done is they've built this EVA tool where a banker can go and ask, hey, what are the top 3 stocks I should be looking at today? So what it does is it goes and looks at the real-time things as well as the analyst reports. It's doing all the background work that I don't need to go and do, and tells me, okay, what is the rating of these top 3 stocks, and based on that, it can pick a top pick for them from an investment perspective. When a consumer calls from a wealth management perspective, hey, what are the top pick for the day? So he can provide all those answers without knowing anything about the industry, because the bot's giving you access to those things. So which is where you can enable the same technology for your bankers so that they can help create, customers in the wealth management as well. So it expands. We're starting with the consumer side on the B2C, enabling your consumers with conversational banking, enabling your employees with IT, HR automation. So HR won't stop there. HR team is now adding recruitment, which is, hey, how do I create job description automatically using generative AI? How do I screen candidates and then it follows through you throughout the journey of onboarding employee. It's kind of hire to retire kind of approach. Anything that employees need during the journey, it enables all of that. So we have all these tools available for both CX and EX, but the bigger value we're seeing is people are interested in how do I create wealth management type solutions. There are use cases like that. You could also look at EVA. So there is a demo tomorrow for that. So we're doing a breakout session at 1:45 tomorrow. I think it's 1 o'clock tomorrow. So that talks about the whole EVA and HR and IT, how they're coming together to solve a use case like what Morgan Stanley has done. So then, okay, so what, right? Why, right? So we also support languages. So from a platform perspective, so it kind of talks about a brag slide, I call them. So it has all the capabilities that you need from a platform perspective, security, compliance. We have crossed SOC2 kind of certifications from a security. So, we can deploy on-prem if needed. So, for big banks, I don't want to put my data at risk. I don't want cloud. I want on my own data center. We have done those deployments. And we can support AWS clouds, any cloud provider that you prefer. We're agnostic to a cloud provider. So the big thing is you're getting multiple languages, contact center. The cool thing with Bank Assist is you don't need to go and integrate all the subcomponents of a platform. We're integrating all of that, whether it's Smart Assist, whether it's XO, whether it's Search. You don't need to do anything. We're doing all of that as a package solution. That's the value of Bank Assist. Then as you get to the benefits, why Bank Assist? This is all about time to value. How fast can I go on board myself with the basic value and work with you on a roadmap to get you there faster? So the next big thing obviously is the domains, right? So the big ones, right? What are the big ones that people call about, right? So we've identified here are the 6, 7 things that people really call about. And if you enable those things from an 80-20 rule, you're automating 80% of the calls because that's why people are calling. So the good thing is go back and look into your contact center, why people are calling, what are the use cases, why they're calling you for, and then those become. It varies from customer to customer. It's not like one size fits all, but we have seen based on various companies we're talking to, and these are the top use cases we're seeing and noticing. So these can be enabled fairly quickly. Yeah, and some of the logos there, so that I have deployed this solution. So the next thing is the tech stack integration. Obviously, integrating to all these guys, it's a monumental work, right? One thing I give kudos to Peter and team is going through all the certifications of FIS, Jack Henry. So it's a really long, painstaking time. So what takes more time in deploying Bank Assist is getting those guys to enable us access so that we can actually deliver this value to you, right? So that is where the long pole in the tent is. And from our perspective, onboarding these things is almost like self-service. So as you go to the pods, ask the team to show you Workbench. Workbench is like, you don't need any skill sets to create a bot. It's just go do some configurations, almost like creating an email address. It should be that simple. So we have done all of that heavy lifting, but what takes time is getting all these backend integrations. So because we pre-integrated, we know how the flows are, how the APIs are, but we still need access and access control to go connect those systems and enable you. So these are the systems that are certified currently. So we have deployed customers using these backend systems. So if you're using any of these backend systems, we can get you up very fast. Any questions? Yeah.
Thanks. When you were doing the demo earlier on agent and teller, I'm curious how you tune that bot. So do you actually ask the agents or the teller to give you feedback on whether the content you served up was accurate, or does that happen organically somehow?
So whenever you're doing a search, any search AI, the first thing we do is validating the answers. So I'm going to give you an example outside of financial services to kind of answer the question. We have done a project with Alaska Airlines. So there, what happens is airline partner lines, they always change documents. The data always changes. Airport blocked something, answers always change. What happened with them is we created something called a human in the loop, where when the data comes ingested into Search Assist, we have an answer. So the better way to do enable FAQs is enable your tellers and agents first. It's in order to be safe and sound, right? So then your agents and your tellers are the ones that are actually validating the answer is right or wrong. So if you want to go pragmatic way, right? So some people are risk averse because in airlines, most of you have heard probably the Air Canada issue, that the bot offered them $300 return when the policy wasn't there. They just hallucinated and get the answer. So that put them in a big trouble because it's a lawsuit for them. So it all depends on how confident you are when you do the test results. So typically what we do is when we ingest the data, we go through a bunch of test cases and give you test results on, hey, these are the questions people are asking, because today your contact center is facing those questions. So we go and put them as batch test and run all the test cases. And then once those pass, then only you enable those things. So you actually are in control even before you put a human in the loop in the design time, before you deploy those things. But once you define that, if the data changes dramatically, the airline case, the data changes, right? So you always have to have a human in the loop to validate is the answer accurate because something changed. Like, can I take a pug on an American airline? American may say yes, but Delta may say no. It depends on my code share partner. So I now need to go look at further and validate that answer. Otherwise, consumers will be yelling at it. So in your case, in the banking use case, unless you have a use case that changes so dramatically, you don't need a human in the loop because you can solve all of that during the design phase. When you do the test cases, the test results will show you whether the bot is giving the right answer or not. So if the test case is not passed, then you'll not push it to the production. Any other question? Yeah, with that, I think thanks a lot for coming. So we have the great demo available.